happening, and it is something that is part of the design of the Vibrant Village program. There was a request for more funding for organic farming. You may be aware that there is a Paramparagat Krishi Yojana under the Ministry of Agriculture. There is actually substantial funding available there. I think the challenge may be for the farmers in Sikkim to access it even better, and that is something that I would request you to engage with both the state and the central government on. There was a request regarding amino acid analyzers, sustainable packaging, wine tasting, etc. Again, suggestions have been taken note of. There are schemes both in the Ministry of Food Processing Industries and in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, which can potentially assist in each of these points that you have raised. As regards the encouragement of local bakery, handicrafts and other local products, again, I'm not necessarily giving you a complete answer, I'm giving you a partial answer. I'm giving you information so that you also know where to take it further. So in this budget, I want to highlight an announcement that was made regarding increased credit for micro, small and medium enterprises. The Government of India is expanding the scope of the CGT MSc Credit Guarantee Scheme. Actually, the size of that scheme at an all India level is being doubled from a current level of approximately 1.7 lakh crores to an additional 2 lakh crores. The special feature of this is it can now give credit in individual cases of up to 5 crores without collateral security, and the cost of credit is also going down by approximately 1% from 1st of April. I would draw your attention to this and say that you should actively pursue this with the banks, both nationalized banks and other banks. And similarly, there is a program called the Prime Minister's Employment Guarantee Program, which under the Ministry of MSME, in which smaller enterprises of this kind can actually access them, and that would apply even to some of the smaller tourism-related enterprises. On tourism, I just want to mention an initiative that is coming. You may be aware that there was a major paragraph in the budget speech on tourism. The government is proposing to create a new tourism organization which will be similar to those in Singapore and Japan, that will coordinate between state, center and private sector so that tourists have an enhanced, more coordinated and higher quality experience. And I think you will eventually see benefits of that in states like Sikkim as well. On the point of immigration, I will pass on this information to the Ministry of Home Affairs. It's an interesting and valid point. If it's been closed since 2020, we've taken note of that and will pass on it.
Yes. And there are other schemes under Mudra you can get for bakeries up to 10 lakh rupees of loan. Then we have a Stand Up India scheme also given by our bank. And the figures given to me shows that in Sikkim there is quite a good offtake of these schemes. I'm sure you are aware of that. I will advise you to connect with your banker. Then probably you will get to know more about these schemes in detail.
Just to inform the person who spoke about the border villages, Vibrant Village program, I'm in fact going to Lachin tomorrow.
You are welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Only to see and ensure that all government schemes are attaining saturation there. So if there are any eligible person left behind without the scheme accessing them or reaching them, I want to ensure that it reaches them. So that is one thing. Second, under the Vibrant Villages program, whatever has been proposed, I want to see if each one of those items are getting fulfilled there, actually connectivity, teleconnections, and also the basic infrastructure in that village. So I will be viewing it in person, going around the village also, and to be almost to the border areas, till where it is permitted, and making sure that this shall not be my first visit or only visit. This year I want to follow it up to make sure that Lachin and the border there and the villages around there are fully going to be meeting everything which is promised in the budget. So more than one.
Now I request
Sri Michelle Chandak, Chartered Accountant, Gangtok Study Circle of Chartered Accountants, Senior Member, to ask his question. Sri Michelle Chandak. Good afternoon, respected madam.
Well, it has, the industrialization process in the entire Northeast has been very nice and very good since the last 5 to 10 years, ma'am. And it's been growing at a rapid and accelerating rate. So there is this, in income tax, there is this section called Section 80IE, which is still there, very much prevalent, and which provides for the tax rebate for the industries set up in the entire Northeast. But this has been diluted to some extent, ma'am, by way of ordinance in 2019, by insertion of section 115BAA in the income tax, ma'am, which says that for the reduction of the corporate tax rate by 10%. So either the industries, either the SECs has to follow section 115BAA, which provides the corporate tax rebate, or do away with the exemptions based in the Northeast, ma'am. So our request is, ma'am, if the section 80IE or the area-based exemptions can go on parallelly, that will be very nice, ma'am, for the entire Northeast and for the industrialization activity for the entire Northeast part of the country, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Sri Santosh Singh, Vice President, Sikkim Chambers of Commerce.
Namaskar, madam. Myself, Santosh Singh, Vice President, Sikkim Chamber of Commerce. I, on behalf of our members in business community, heartily welcomes you to a beautiful and peaceful state of Sikkim. We also express our heartfelt gratitude towards your good self for giving us this opportunity of being heard. We also congratulate yourself for presenting futuristic Budget 2023. Madam, we would like to know that the increase of capital expenditure by 33%, amounting to a total of 10 lakh crores, will help boost the infrastructure of road and railways. How northeastern states, specifically Sikkim, will get benefit from this scheme? The next point is the increase in allocation towards the PM Awas Yojana, a 66% increase. Why is this significant? Thank you.
Sri Vinay Chaturvedi, Plant Head, Zuantis Healthcare Limited.
मेरा नाम विनय चतुर्वेदी है और मैं एक जुवेंटस हेल्थकेयर लिमिटेड फार्मा फील्ड से हूँ। आपका स्वागत है सिक्किम में। जैसा कि मैम आप भी जानते हैं कि NEIII के स्कीम के तहत में 2007 में ये इंसेंटिव्स वगैरह शुरू की गई थी फार्मा ग्रोथ के लिए यहाँ पे, और 10 साल के लिए एलिजिबिलिटी थी इसकी। तो जिन लोगों ने 2017 तक इसमें अपने आप को इनरोल किया, 2027 में उनका टेन्योर खत्म होगा अगेंस्ट ऑल जो भी इनके इंसेंटिव्स मिल रही हैं, जिसमें इनकम टैक्स की बेनिफिट्स थी और इस कैपिटल सब्सिडी भी थी 58% के तकरीबन। और आपसे मेरा यही जानना चाहते हैं कि क्या ये फर्दर स्कीम आगे लागू रहेगी या इसमें कुछ और इंसेंटिव्स ऐड ऑन होंगे जिससे कि फार्मा की जो ग्रोथ है यहाँ पे आगे जा सके। दूसरी बात ये कि जितनी भी डोमेस्टिक मार्केट्स हैं इंडिया की, मोस्टली सिक्किम से ही कैटर होती है। तो हमारा क्वेश्चन यही है कि क्या इस स्कीम को आगे बढ़ाई जाएगी या इसमें और कुछ अमेंडमेंट्स करके इसको लागू किया जाएगा। थैंक यू मैम।
The question which was asked from Chamber of Commerce on two issues: increase in the capex, capital expenditure, as well as on rural housing. Government for the last 3 to 4 years has been paying special attention to building infrastructure. One, the building infrastructure adds to the growth as well as to the jobs. And that becomes important that it goes to all areas. And if you recall that the last budget has also provided assistance for the states in the northeast. Plus, there is assistance for the state government also as a 50-year interest-free loan for the capital expenditure. So these are the ones, build infrastructure, and I am coming to this state after 35 years and I am seeing that kind of a pressure on on the infrastructure which has created. So we have to keep up pace with that. As far as rural housing is concerned, government goal is very clear, the saturation. Each household, the poor household must have good pakka house. There is no point in giving few houses, it must be a saturation. So increases, massive increase is to make sure that every household, poor household gets a house.
I would just like to supplement that answer with some more information for you. In the increase in capital expenditure of 33%, there are two elements. There is an increase on the central side, and then there is an increase in the 50-year interest-free loan which is given to state governments. So the provision for interest-free loan to state governments, which was 1 lakh crore in 2022-23, is going up to 1,30,000 crores in 23-24. And this amount has two components. There is a component which is allocated to states and which does not have a specific previous purpose prescribed by the center. That is actually the bulk of the scheme. The projects are chosen by the state government according to the needs of the state. Under this category, we normally go by the Finance Commission's devolution formula for state governments as to how much each state gets. But in the case of Sikkim and the northeastern states, we have allocated amounts which are much larger than what is given by the Finance Commission as their share of national devolution. So Sikkim gets a more than proportionate share of the amount of 1 lakh crore, etc., which is being given under the scheme, and that is going up to 1,30,000. So for instance, current year, Sikkim is expected to utilize about 400 crores under this interest-free loan for schemes chosen by the government of Sikkim. These are not priorities of the government of India, these are locally chosen priorities. In addition, the schemes of the NHIDCL for roads in the northeastern region are also receiving a big increase through this enhanced capital budget. I would also take this opportunity just to give you some information on the overall increases for schemes specific to the northeast, in which Sikkim also gets a share. So the schemes of the Northeast Council, the actual expenditure in 2021-22 was 387 crores. The budget for the current year, that is 22-23, was 644 crores, and next year the budget is 800 crores. Similarly, for the Northeast Special Infrastructure Development Scheme, the actual expenditure in the previous financial year was 790 crores. The current year's revised estimates are 1,233, and next year's budget is 2,491. It's more than 100% increase for infrastructure in the Northeast. And then the newly announced scheme, which was announced in last year's budget, PM Divine, which is Prime Minister's Development Initiative for the Northeastern region, which is a new scheme. 400 crores in the revised estimates of the current year will rise to 2,200 crores next year. So there are substantial increases in the specific schemes of the Northeast, apart from the general increase in capital.
On the tax exemption part, I would just like to say that the move of the government, you would have noticed in the past few years, has been to have, a simplified taxation structure. And so when you have exemptions, whether it is based on area or whether it is on the income tax side related to investments, or even on the GST side, you are aware that there used to be exemptions for investment and sales, etc. So the government has been trying to simplify, number one, and at the same time make the taxation more transparent. And so in that move, the various exemptions that were available pre-GST, they have, you are aware, they have gone. We have tried to, of course, on the central GST part, we have tried to retain the exemptions which were already grandfathered and to a certain extent, not fully. Similarly, you are aware that on the income tax side, we have not increased the exemptions, if not done away with them. So the move is essentially towards simplification, and it is in that context, I suppose, you are making mention of the Section 80, etc., area-based exemptions which are there. Probably you are referring to the new section under which there is a 15% now without any exemption. So that makes taxation very simple, very transparent, and known to everyone. Because on the one hand, we keep hearing that taxation is very complex. It's very difficult for a common man to understand as to what the taxation rate is, and so we are trying to move away with taxation as the instrument, as the primary instrument for incentivizing certain things. That doesn't mean that backward areas, or if there are some other investments or other activities which need to be promoted, that will not be promoted. So if it is backward areas or other areas that need to be promoted, you can see that there is more emphasis now on infrastructure, whether it is through capex this year or last year or through other means. The emphasis is to provide support so that they don't remain dependent only on incentives, subsidies and grants. And we enable them, we equip them through better infrastructure, through better entrepreneurship, better capacity building, skill upgradation programs, all of which you have seen in the past few budgets, including this one. Huge increase in outlay. Thank you.
Now I request Sri Vishal Jain, Chartered Accountant, member of the Institute of Chartered Account of India, Siliguri, to ask his question.
Namaste, Honorable Finance Minister Madam. We take this opportunity to appreciate the budget which has been presented by you, covering the various sectors equally. My question is regarding the GST rate on online coaching education system. The rate today is 18%. Burden of 18% directly hit the students who are availing these coaching services from different villages and various other sectors. So the question is only that, ma'am, if this rate could be reduced, because there is no big capex being involved in the education setup of such online coaching centers, whereby they can avail the high rate of ITC. So 18% could be moderated to 12%. It would be great for such students who are availing these services as an online education services. Thank you, ma'am.
Sri Ramesh Pariwal, President Sikkim Chemist Association.
Good afternoon. Namaskar, madam. मैं रमेश पेरीवाल, representing the chemist fraternity of Sikkim. Honorable Madam, although Sikkim is a very small consumer state in respect of sale of medicines and surgical items, most of the time it is seen that the variety of rate structure in medicine has confused the ailing buyer. I have an opinion that 5% rate be fixed for all those medicines also which are placed in 12% category, which will help the weaker section of society at large. Thank you.
Sri Hora, Chartered Accountant, ex-chairman, Confederation of Indian Industry, North Bengal.
Good evening, madam. Honorable madam, these days GST portal is working quite smoothly and we appreciate the efforts. However, can we expect a portal coming up whereby all the cases being initiated by various departments like CGST, SGST, DGI and audit can be made available under the common portal, so that there is no multiplicity of cases, same cases being initiated involving time and energy of both the department and the professionals. Thank you.
Most of the questions you have raised are, pertaining to GST. You are aware GST, is a subject of not only the center but also of the state, and we do not take up through the budget. However, and so these rates which we have talked about in reference to online coaching, then on medicines, we have taken note thereof, and we put it up to the GST Council wherever there is merit in these some of these suggestions, and the decision is ultimately to be taken on the recommendations of the GST Council. So we'll examine these two suggestions which have come in. Regarding the third one, which is related to the GST portal, this suggestion that the notices which are issued, there is a committee in almost all the states, and I would strongly urge, if such a committee is not functional here in Sikkim, that can be done, in which representatives of all, both the state and the center, are represented, so that these issues where there are multiple notices being issued by both central and state agencies to one particular supplier itself, that question itself does not arise. So the GST, I think both finance of Sikkim and the GST Commissioner, Central GST Commissioner are present here. I urge them that they can form this committee, and so that these are awarded. Nevertheless, there can be exceptions, as you have mentioned. We will see how we can resolve this issue so that once a notice is issued by one department, it is done only through the portal, is your suggestion. And so the others come to know, and then they do not, then issue this notice. So we will also, internally also, we will examine this issue. Thank you.
Moving ahead, Srimati Smita Rai, Namchi Designer Candles Entrepreneur.
A very good evening, madam, and a good evening to all the gentlemen seated there in the dais. I'm Smita Rai from Namchi, South Sikkim. Actually, I've almost got the answer to the question that I've prepared for you this evening, yet I cannot miss on this opportunity to address this prestigious house. My question is, madam, of the various schemes introduced in the budget for boosting the entrepreneurship startup culture in the Northeast region, there is one scheme, that is MSME Credit Guarantee Scheme. Madam, could you please elaborate the said scheme, and how could this scheme benefit a women entrepreneur like me who works with the rural women of the state? Thank you so much.
Srimati Reena Rai, Studio Marto Entrepreneur.
Good evening, ma'am. We welcome you to Sikkim and all the dignitaries here. My name is Reena Rai, and I have a small ceramic unit in Pakyong, which is the newly formed district of Sikkim. And we work with a lot of self-help group in terms of training them and empowering them. And we also are trying to revive an old age tradition of pottery here in Sikkim. So we really welcome the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme that has been started by your esteemed department. And also we were just going through the budget, and even the Dekho Apna Desh initiative is very much welcome here, especially in terms of since we have our Chief Secretary and the Finance Secretary here of Sikkim, maybe in the next policy for the following year, if we could initiate Dekho Apna Desh, maybe we could encourage, in terms of travel and tourism, we could encourage more of handicrafts, places like Okri, where we have beautiful blanket weaving. We could encourage more of wood carving and carpet weaving. So, in collaboration with the tourism department, so we could, help in sustainable development of the state. And also, I really welcome the Unity Mall, ma'am, where you've talked about one district, one product, and especially the GI and the handicrafts. I think this is amazing for people like me who work in the handicraft region, because handicraft, India is so diverse, and it's you know, its handicrafts are like, and with the G20 summit happening in India, there's been a lot of emphasis on handicrafts. So I think this is a very well-timed scheme. And hopefully with all these schemes, ma'am, I'm hoping that startups and small setups, micro unit setups like us could look forward to an easier compliance. Thank you, ma'am.
Srimati Karishma Pradhan, charismatic academic entrepreneur.
A very good evening, ma'am, and good evening to all the dignitaries sitting with us today. I am Karishma Pradhan. I own an event management and a training institute. My question is pertaining to the small taxpayers, though we've already heard a bit about the GST and how it's going to affect these small taxpayers. But still, I have to put this question to you today. After the implementation of GST, large businesses with enough employees can handle the entire process easily. However, for small taxpayers, traders, merchants, service providers, or individuals who have just started business, it is still a little complex. So how will the new budget benefit the small taxpayers? Thank you.
So I will start with the question on the credit guarantee scheme and how does it operate. I'll give you the information. It's operated through the banks, both nationalized banks and other banks. The scheme is behind the scenes. So what does this scheme do? When a bank extends credit to a small entrepreneur or to a new entrepreneur, in their minds they have a perception of risk that perhaps this person will not repay this loan, and that risk sometimes dissuades them from extending credit. So what the CGTMSE is a credit guarantee trust, which is a Government of India institution. The Government of India provides money to this trust, and the trust then gives an assurance to the bank that if you give a loan to an entrepreneur under this scheme, then a particular percentage of that loan is guaranteed by the trust without any collateral. That is, you don't have to give collateral of land or machinery or working capital or whatever. You take a loan, the government organization, the government essentially says to the bank, if this person does not repay, the government will pay you a percentage, typically 80% of that loan. So it drastically reduces the risk for the bank in making that loan, number one. And secondly, because the loan is guaranteed to this extent, the interest rate which the bank charges on the loan can also come down, and they add a small fee to that loan to cover the cost of the guarantee. So this year what has been done is, the government is infusing more capital into that trust, because of which the amount of credit that it's like, with more money they can give more loans. So they're going to be able to double the volume of such loans which they can give through the banks. And because we have given them extra money, they are reducing the guarantee fee, which will also reduce the interest rate paid by the borrower. But this is administered through banks, and you should approach banks, particularly nationalized banks. And the scheme is a government-funded scheme, the benefit of which is meant for entrepreneurs like you, and it covers loans currently it covers loans up to 2 crores per borrower, now it will cover loans up to 5 crores per borrower. And earlier the guarantee fee, which was being added to the interest rate, was approximately on average 1.3 to 1.4%. Now it will be 0.3% or lower in some cases. So that is the benefit of that particular scheme which you were asking about. On the points on national apprenticeship promotion schemes, as you rightly said, these are helpful to your sector. I want to just draw your attention to one more announcement in the budget, which is this Vishwakarma, that is promotion of handicrafts which are made, and all persons who work with their hands using tools. So it falls directly in the area that you were mentioning. This PM Vikas scheme is being formulated. The specific details are currently under discussion between the ministries concerned, which includes the Development Commissioner, Handicrafts, and the Ministry of Textiles, etc. And it is likely to be launched soon. I think that will also be of considerable benefit to you. On the small taxpayers question, there are certain specific announcements for the income tax on small taxpayers.
So on your question, related to GST, first of all, every state has, and even your state would be having a limit of turnover below which you don't need to register under GST. In the normal states, it is 40 lakh for goods, 20 lakh for services. Smaller states, I think it is half. So probably here in Sikkim, it should be 20 lakh and 10 lakh. So this is one thing, which is there for small taxpayers. They don't have to, go through the hassle of GST. The other thing is that the GST in itself provides for free accounting software for businesses having turnover up to 1.5 crore rupees annually. So this is the other thing. Regarding what the budget has if this budget has for the small taxpayers, on the GST side, I would like to draw your attention to the fact that in this budget, we are allowing small taxpayers to also, through e-commerce, till previously those which are registered within the state and which are not registered for interstate sales were not allowed to use e-commerce operators for their interstate sales. So now this budget, through this the finance bill in this budget, we are going to allow that. So this is on the GST side. On the income tax side, the limit of 2 crore turnover for presumptive taxation of 6% with digital payments and 8% without digital payments. This limit is now being increased to 3 crore rupees for small enterprises and traders. So this is another relief, for the small taxpayers on the income tax side.
If I can add to the observation which was made on the Unity Mall, this is a very unique scheme, and there's a money in the budget that the state government can get interest-free loan, 50-year interest-free loan, to construct one Unity Mall in each state, and most likely the place which has the most number of tourists come in, or the state capital as the state will choose. It is not just about one district, one product, so it may be a significant number. That mall will provide a space for all other states, apart from its own products, it will provide for. So say such a mall in Sikkim or Gangtok will have a space for 35 other states and union territories. Similar manner, Sikkim will also get space in all other 35 states and union territories. And with a bit of hand-holding by the state government or through some aggregator from Sikkim, then that many outlets gets opened up, and that opens up the market for not just for handicrafts but even for organic products. If there was a question arose that how does organic products from Sikkim can be promoted, especially the processed product if they are moving from here. There may be different offtake in different states. Some states handicrafts may move forward, some states organic products may move forward, and some states maybe the clothing may move forward. So this is a good opportunity to get into the marketing reach, and maybe an industry association here or a group of entrepreneurs coming together, getting that kind of a reach to the market, meaning that each state's unique product which are unable to find, it doesn't become possible for them to get the India-wide market for each state. That is what this, and mostly from smaller entrepreneurs or the handicraft, crafts people, etc. That's a scheme. It's an extremely well thought out scheme, and I request that Chief Secretary is here to work with the entrepreneurs here how that good benefit can be taken of this scheme. Thank you.
तय समय सीमा के अनुसार हम अब सिर्फ 1-2 क्वेश्चन ही ले सकते हैं, अगर मैडम परमिट करें तो। ओके, आई रिक्वेस्ट श्री राज लामा, सिक्किम एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप एंड इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट सेल, सीड सोसाइटी, टू आस्क हिज क्वेश्चन।
Namaste, madam. Thank you, madam, for coming all over from Delhi to Sikkim to visit us. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, my name is Raj Lama. I represent the MSME Association of Sikkim. Our organization called Seed Cell. So basically, I have got 2 things to say to you, ma'am. Like, since I got this opportunity to talk to you, ma'am, today, one-to-one. Ma'am, in Sikkim, like, it's easy to get loan up to 20 lakh rupees from banks, but below 20 lakh, it's very difficult to get loan. And that part I just want to highlight to you also, man. Since PSUs are the major source of funding for the entrepreneurs of Sikkim, that is the main thing, man. Because since Northeast is already not in the corporate big level, we are not listed in the 500 companies of the National Stock Exchange. Till now, we don't have any unicorns in Sikkim from Northeast, man. So, but then the other India is going like anything, and we really need some of the help from the government of India to really push up entrepreneurs in Sikkim, man. Without government support, this region won't be able to give you the revenue what you're expecting from this Northeast region, man. And another thing is that, man, I request you to give us some seed back, some seed funding, so that entrepreneurs can also get all state funding. Since there is no venture fund in Sikkim till now operating, and I think the government has to step in for this also, man. I would suggest you that is maybe simply back funding to the Northeast entrepreneurs to get funding, so that we can also grow and tomorrow we can be a part of this greater India, and we can also give you revenue to this country. Thank you so much, man.
Sri Manoj Agarwal, Chartered Accountant, Gangtok Study Circle of Chartered Accountant.
Jai Hind, Madam. Madam, CM Azadullah here. I am representing Sikkim Chamber of Commerce as well as the Chartered Accountant Association. SBLDRS, Sabka Vishwas Legacy Dispute Resolution Scheme. Madam, that was a big success, and due to some reason, many taxpayers could not avail that amnesty scheme. So, in case there is any plan for reintroducing such amnesty scheme, or as SBLDRS to reduce the litigation, madam.
I think you are referring to the GST scheme.
Service tax,
all the yes, all the taxes that got
those cases under appeal cases.
Yeah, those cases, those taxes which were subsumed under the GST. So see, that was a one-time scheme because GST had come in, all those taxes got subsumed in it, and so and those taxes were not going to come in again. So otherwise, amnesty in itself. In how many times can you give an amnesty? And I believe there should not be many cases which will be left now. Most of them would have availed the benefits. There are many cases you are saying there. Okay.
Yes, sir. Like
okay.
Because the appeals are pending and things are.
But I mean, see, there was a time limit. A period was given. It was already, the tax was due. Some amnesty was given. That was not availed. This request has not come to us from anywhere. It's coming to us for the first time. For this particular scheme, we will have a look at it.
I want to add on the loan part, above 20 lakhs there are problems. Because of local laws, wherever collaterals are required, there will be problem. Because banks are not able to take the collaterals from the creditor. In those cases only there will be problems. But for the cases which were earlier explained by the Honorable Finance Secretary with regard to credit guarantee scheme, I don't think there should be any problem. And so far the data is concerned, till last year or before last year there were problems in till 21, and after that I believe Chief Secretary who is sitting here has taken a lot of interest, and our local branch of RBI and all the bankers, they have been able to bring this credit CD ratio above national level, which was 45 till December 2021, now it is 58. And among the northeastern state, if we include the Sikkim Bank also, State Bank of Sikkim, then probably among northeastern states, Sikkim is having the highest credit to GSDP ratio. So it doesn't seem like, I also took a meeting yesterday with bankers. There is a lot of improvement with the effort put in by the state government and the local RBI branch and SLBC in last 2 years.
that it? Is there more questions to be asked?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yep.
Good evening, ma'am. My name is Chintan Bhawan and I'm Vice President Travel Agent Association of Sikkim. Ma'am, the topic which I would like to tell you is regarding the COVID relief measure which you had announced, I think in 2021, where you had, where the finance department had mentioned that the travel agent who are registered under ministry MOT, they were eligible for 10 lakhs, as far as I know, and a tour guide who are registered under a regional or a state level department were eligible for 1 lakh. Ma'am, we had in fact submitted all our documents, everything to our department, tourism department, and in fact tourism department had written, they had follow up with all our documents to the Ministry of Tourism, ma'am. Till now we have not got any information as such. And also, ma'am, in the future, if we are going to come up with relief measures like this, as ma'am, in Sikkim we have around 2,000 plus travel agents, but none of them are registered under ministry. There is only one travel agent, which he's our member only, ma'am. He was only qualified for that. Ma'am, if you see right now also, we can see a lot of big industry players in front of me, ma'am. We are a very small player which we have been very badly hit, and I would like to request if you come up with any relief measure to help our tourism stakeholders in Sikkim, including the drivers, hoteliers, everyone. Thank you so much, and ma'am, and we would be submitting our memorandum from our association. Later I will submit to one of the officials from our state. Thank you so much.
A batch of memoranda that you had given with all the names of the guides or tourist operators.
Yes, ma'am.
Which you said you had earlier supplied or submitted to the tourism ministry.
Yes, ma'am. Ministry, yes.
Government of India.
Yes.
You must resend it to us.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You can give it to. You can actually give it to the Chief Secretary's office, and I request the Chief Secretary to forward it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
You are saying that you are all registered within the state.
We are registered under the state government, but not registered.
That's fine, but just pass it on.
Okay, ma'am.
But in this context,
yes, ma'am,
I'll request you,
yes, ma'am,
and I'll request the state administration to equally keep a complete, exhaustive data bank of tourism-related stakeholders.
Okay.
Guides, authorize them, whoever you want to authorize. We are not telling you to authorize X, Y, Z.
Yes, ma'am.
Tour operators in a state like Sikkim where tourism is of high potential.
Yes.
The minimum expected is to have a clear database of who are the people who are recognized by tourism. And if you've already sent it and it's not been recognized or acknowledged, please forward one to your state chief secretary.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
I'll be glad to receive it.
Thank you so much.
I have something to add. First of all, I'm very glad to be here. And it also pleases me to see so many women entrepreneurs being here and talking. I wish the numbers grow and you make a difference to the state. I think the secretaries have answered each for their respective areas, the questions of clarity that you so sought from them. But I'm using this opportunity because your state administration is here. And I can see so much of potential not being optimally realized. I begin with our friend Mr. Lepcha, who's sitting there. Organic farming, I had come sometime between 2016 and 17, I think, when Sikkim was declared the first organic state of this country. Am I right? 16, 17 sometime? I distinctly remember, and Honorable Prime Minister making a clear statement saying we are very proud that there is one state which says it's completely organic. You should have actually grown multiple fold by now. I want want the state administration to honestly, clearly have a plan as to how you want to scale that up. We've actually lost a lot of time, I would say. If between 16 and today, you are not giving a template for the rest of the country who are now joining on to the organic race, you've already missed the bus. You shouldn't take any longer. I want the state government to prepare a blueprint or with a timeline saying what are you going to do, how are you going to do, which are the segments you want to build first and which are the segments you want to build later, or whatever, the way in which you want to build, after consulting the stakeholders. And unless a state like Sikkim, which has a natural advantage in organic, which you've already proven, having announced that you're the first state, you should have a clear progress chart of how you move from one to another. The fruits grown here are naturally organic. That should be finding export market. Because why export? Wouldn't Indians want to use it? No, Indians would want to use it, but you have a greater realization of price. And you earn in foreign currency. So I would suggest there should be a plan immediately from the Sikkim government for the organic. And in that, one addition, which I'm thinking is an addition, probably you've already talked about it. Millets. How many of the Sri Anna grow here? I know for sure. And I've tasted some of them, which are naturally grown. I've even had a very romantic picture brought before me saying how they are collected and how they are powdered, made into a powder through mills which run with flowing water. The chakki runs with flowing water and naturally without excess heat being generated, that Sri Anna or whatever millet it is pounded, and it is one of the best breakfast dish. I've been generously supplied with one such a thing, where I used to pour hot milk into it with some honey. Delicious, nutritious meal. I'm sure Sikkim can take a lead on it. I don't know the name, but anything which goes through this process, that's the one which is referring to. Unbelievably tasty. So why would you want to have a handmade, processed, without using electricity processed, package it beautifully? And I'm not here to, between one northeast state to another, bring in examples to say you're not doing it, somebody's doing it, but good examples can always be put before, like the way you have become the first organ. In terms of packaging and branding, Nagaland, what work they have done. And I'm sure, similar work is going on in Sikkim too, but we have not seen it yet. I would think purely on organic, the state government should have, if necessary, some consultants who are Sikkimese themselves who probably can do a brilliant job. Nobody needed from outside. Some young group of startups come in to see how best the aggregation can happen. After all, these are produced locally in little small villages, aggregated, packet, branded, and find global markets using e-portals. So that is a strong recommendation I'd like to give the Sikkim administration. One, purely on getting a roadmap for organic. Two, on Sri Anna, the millets. Then another suggestion which I give you is, again, one of the Northeast, Assam, has gone in to see how best startups in Assam can be promoted. The Indian Institute of Technology in Guwahati has become the nodal center in which they are making sure all potential startups are brought together and hand-holding happens. Somebody comes to tell them how to meet a challenge which is posed, so that once the challenge is successfully addressed, their proposition gets money. They can then plan it to scale it up, give a solution and scale it up and so on. Sikkim should, for Sikkim's youth, have some institution identified in which that institution becomes a nodal, in which you attach potential startup youth to understand how best they can join this startup I don't want to say race, but healthy competition. Get into that and become a part of the national startup ecosystem, with pharma industry being dominant here. Startup industries, startups can also have some challenges to meet pharma industry's solution seeking. Similarly for Sikkim's own native products, bringing a value addition for them. And similarly, connectivity related issues. There are so many things which you desperately need now. On that, hold challenges. Bring in some IIT Madras like place which is already doing a lot of hand-holding for startups, and explain how to get into this world of startups and make a difference. You should hold the meet, I would think. And in that, tourism and organic products to be first taken up, because it has immediate base here. Then there was a lot of talk about village tourism. Excellent thought. And I know there are today aggregators like OYO, am I right? OYOs who do homestays. They come and look at your property, talk to you, tell you about what kind of visitors can come, and once you meet up their standards without taking away the uniqueness of the home that you're talking about. OYO helps. I'm not promoting OYO, first let that be clear. I'm taking that as an example so that you understand. OYO or BOYO, whatever, whoever does it for you, does it. But be actually looking out for that. You have splendid homes. You can ask them to come and visit a Bhutia home, a Lepcha home, a Nepali home in the villages. See how I've been to a Bhutia home, and it has been fascinating experience. You get into it, there's a central fireplace in which all the meat hang. I'm a vegetarian, but then the meat hangs, and they're cured for the whole year, and you keep taking out of it and cooking, and the entire family sits around it, warming themselves and having the dinner. Such memories, very strong memories for me on it. And I love to go back, and nothing put me off. But it was brilliant. It's such a strong memory. So if some kind of a startup like who works in village tourism is brought in by the state government, and in the meanwhile, those of you who want to get into having your own property become also a village tourism property, some kind of a matchmaking can happen with the state government's efforts. From then you'll know you can promote, saying, that agency provides you the application required. You put your details into it with pictures. I can tell you, cities which have been receiving foreign tourists till now, very frequently too, now have seen an increased number, an influx almost, where they started saying, not only are you coming and visiting our monuments, temples, whatever, or beaches, you also can stay in one of the traditional households. Eat their food, be with them, see how they dress, how the house is kept. That idea has now suddenly brought more tourists in. I know I sent a group to Tanjavur, which is in Tamil Nadu, which is the place of the highest temple. You would have heard of the big temple. I've similarly asked them to go to Rameshwaram, which is on the sea coast. They are receiving immense interest. I'm sure if state government takes the initiative to call some of these aggregators and bring those people of Sikkim who want to have, this homestay option, we can easily put them together and promote homestay options. And I'm glad so many of you all spoke about it, but the state government should move on it immediately to get those people coming in. Vivek has spoken, the Secretary EFS has spoken about banks. He's reviewed one yesterday also. Tomorrow when I'm going to Lachen, I will be, as I said, looking at getting saturation through banks promoted schemes. NABARD chief has also come with me. He will also be with us to see how through NABARD, which is an underwriter in the sense of it is the one which is behind the public sector banks to promote many of the government schemes, whether it is in agriculture or anything else. He's also with us, so that when we go there, we want to arrive at saturation. It cannot happen tomorrow, but it will start tomorrow. But I would request the Secretary DFS to once visit Sikkim, Gangtok, not really go to Lachin, but sit in Gangtok, get all the SLBCs, have the Chief Secretary with you, do a complete review of which bank has promoted how much in which scheme, and so for every scheme, and get a good feeling. I can do it for Lachin tomorrow, but I wish to do it for the entire state to see no district gets ignored. And in that, I hope it's been effective, but I would want to make it better. Through the stand-up, those who are promoting pottery in a particular area, say Patong, or carpets from some area, something else from some others, understand that they should have been covered. If not, please make a review of it and make sure that it gets extended. And the last point is on the Unity Mall proposition on which Secretary Economic Affairs of the State has elaborated. I don't know if one district, one product has been announced in Sikkim. Have you? Every district has a product? Fine. So for that, one other thing is creating common facility in the district. I don't know, for instance, the carpet weaving. In that district, if it is being declared as one of the district products, is it one district, one product item? The carpets? Each one is in each district? So I don't know which district it is for carpet weaving. South. I take that example. South, if it is carpet weaving, I can see quite violent head shakes saying, no. Why? It's not? Carpets are not in it?
It's Canons in South District.
Huh?
We haven't declared any product as such, but
Okay. I'm sure the process is on and they will declare it, but if, for instance, now you heard the Chief Secretary say, carpet weaving is for the South District, I would want, see, that's why it helps women, the others won't say it, they say it. So the carpet, you take care of it in case anybody calls you, just send the message to me. How did you manage to say this before the finance minister? No problem. So, South District, for example, if I take that example, carpet, one district, one product, South Sikkim, there are schemes to which the banks can fund creation of common facilities where women can sit together and do the work. Or if you're more comfortable in doing it in your own workplace or your homes, to make a cluster of it. Why? That's right. But if you want to do similar things for edible items, you can still do it. Your wonderful red chili, so bamboo shoots, you can form. That is going to be covered in the women empowerment which is announced in this budget. The SHG groups who will have an identified product which they can produce. The budget announcement is going to enable you have somebody who can professionally tell you how to go about it, how to market it, how to brand it, and manage your core accounts. Instead of being, one frittered group here and there, with that one product in which you want to, not necessarily papads and pickles, anything else you want to do, the new announcement in the budget is to bring in the self-help groups of women to benefit from the budget announcement. So other than that, I was talking about how common facilities can reach every district where a product has been identified. This example I am drawing from UP, which Naye Sitare or some was it there? No, before one district one. That's right. So that was also used. No, UP also used it. So there are schemes. Only I want either the state government or the chambers of commerce, which are here only looking at what tax concessions can be given. Work with people who want also facilities. Work with people also who are not your members, but who collectively can help promote the economy of the state. So please don't get yourself confined only to registered companies who are accounting the stock market. These are potential stock market stuff. So either the Chamber of Commerce or you yourself should put together an idea, pass it to your Chief Secretary, and through the Chief Secretary let it come. If you, whatever the Budget2023 or any other program can work for Sikkim, if it worked for somebody else. You have to be all ears and all eyes of knowing what the central government schemes are. You may be far away from Delhi, but nowadays that distance doesn't matter. You are instantly getting informed through the electronic meeting. Get the information, ask the state government, saying why can't we benefit out of it? And if they don't, send it to us. We'll ask them here.
Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you. It was a very interesting gathering. We put it all up.
With your permission, ma'am, will you please conclude this program? So may I please request Srimati Meenu Kumar, Commissioner Central GST Appeals, Siliguri, to please deliver the vote of thanks.
Most respected Honorable Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Madam Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Minister of State for Finance, Budget2023, Dr. T.D. Somanathan, Finance and Expenditure Secretary, Shri Ajay Seth, Secretary, Department of Economic Affairs, Shri Vivek Joshi, Secretary, Department of Financial Services, Shri Sanjay Malhotra, Secretary, Revenue, and all the senior most officers from the Ministry, members of the trade, and distinguished guests and dignitaries present here today, a very good evening to all. On behalf of Chief Commissioner, CGST and Central Excise Kolkata Zone, it is my privilege to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all for sparing your valuable time to attend this event and to have this very meaningful post-budget interactive session. Madam, first and foremost, we thank your kind self for leading us to organize this initiative and to reach out to the trade and industry of this very beautiful and progressive state of Sikkim and to help Sikkim to gain new economic Thank you, Madam, for taking note of all the local concerns of the trade and giving us several ideas for the way forward for the inclusive growth using the natural resources. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the senior officials of the Union Finance Ministry also for addressing and clarifying all the queries of the trade so coherently and guiding them forward with the way forward, as well as reminding them of all the provisions already available in the government, as well as the provisions made in the budget provisions of this year, and we shall be addressing all the issues shortly. Madam, this initiative to have a fruitful dialogue with the officers of the Union Finance Ministry and the trade of the state for the effective implementation of the budget proposals will go a long way to make the GST laws even more trade and user-friendly. This will lead towards a more efficient tax administration as well as encourage a hassle-free environment for tax compliance that will eventually help to mitigate avoidable litigation. I also take this opportunity to thank the representatives from the trade and industry, the Sikkim Chambers of Commerce, the members of the ICAI from Gangtok and Siliguri who are present here today, for flagging the relevant issues and for offering suggestions and solutions. These suggestions will prove to be useful while drafting the future government fiscal policies too.
I also convey our heartfelt thanks to the members of the media and press. Last but not the least, I thank the Chief Secretary of Sikkim and the state government to provide us this venue and to organize this entire event so that it could be conducted smoothly. With this, we once again thank all the honorable dignitaries and the senior most officers for this excellent opportunity of one-to-one interaction with the stakeholders and to provide an enabling environment for the best tax practices in this Amrit Kaal. Thank you and namaskar.
Now the dignitaries, may I please request them to proceed for the press conference which is concluded in the adjoining room. May I request all members.
Programs we've come to. The secretaries are here, and in between, of course, the ministry was very involved in carrying forward the first finance ministers and central bank governors meet in the G20, which ended only day before yesterday. So after that, we are here straight. I don't need to again elaborate on the budget because already all have heard the budget being made in the Lok Sabha, and after that also through the media, the various places where we've addressed the media gathering. Each time we went to each one of these places, Hyderabad, Bhubaneswar, Mumbai and so on. So I straight open the floor and leave it for you all to ask any questions in which the secretaries will freely join in to answer.
We will now begin the question and answer round. The format will be as follows. You are requested to ask questions pertaining to the union budget or the policies and schemes of the Ministry of Finance or Corporate Affairs. You may ask your questions in Hindi or in English, and you are also requested that before you ask the question, you kindly introduce yourself, the name and the name of your organization. Thank you.
Madam, my name is Vishnu Lupani. I am a freelance journalist based in Gangtok. So, Madam, my question is that since this time your budget has been increased by 10% for Northeast and development areas. Now, what would be the proportionate for the Sikkim in terms of the budget locatory and in terms of the development of the infrastructures related with the infrastructure related with the in terms of this connectivity up to the border area, international border areas?
So there are multiple provisions in the budget which will benefit the state of Sikkim. First, I'll give you some numbers on the overall provisions for the Northeast in which the proportionate share comes to Sikkim. So for the schemes of the Northeast Council, the outlay has gone up from 644 crores in 22-23 to 800 crores in the current budget. For the Northeast Special Infrastructure Development Scheme, which is mainly for infrastructure including roads, it's gone up from 1,419 in 22-23 to 2,491. And then the Prime Minister's Development Initiative for the Northeast, known as PM Divine, which had 400 crores in the revised estimates for 22-23, is going up to 2,200 crores in the coming year. In addition to this, under the scheme of 50-year interest-free loans to states for capital expenditure, there's an increase of 30%, and Sikkim is one of the states which gets a disproportionately higher allocation. For many of the states, we give it based on the share which they get under the Finance Commission. But for the northeastern states, the government of India has decided to give more than the proportionate share. So Sikkim will be a major beneficiary in the increase in the loans for capital investment by states. This is in addition to the other ongoing development programs. The increase in the budget for infrastructure, particularly for roads, will also benefit the NHIDCL, which is constructing a number of road projects in this region, including in Sikkim. These are just some examples.
Just to add to that, tomorrow, via BC, I'll be launching a ropeway, which is in the western Sikkim, I think, which is a beneficiary of the PM Divine, which came last year. So you are seeing results of allocations made for capital expenditure through the PM Divine, and this is one classic example, and another for which the foundation is being laid tomorrow again is a direct beneficiary of the PM Divine scheme.
Ma'am, good evening. My name is Nirmal and I represent Sikkim Chronicle. Although this year the allocation of the budget for the northeastern states has been doubled to rupees 5,892 crores, there was much of an anticipation on the announcement of the new policy for the northeastern state in regard to the new industrial policy, and also there was an expectation that you would renew the any investment development scheme in the union budget. We couldn't find that in the budget. What could be the reason for that, ma'am? Northeast Investment Development Scheme.
So over and above the things which have been explained for the capital expenditure through the Northeast Council, which is PM Divine, over and above the Donair, over and above Sikkim getting its own share of the special assistance to the states, which is for 50 years interest-free. You are asking now about, you had an expectation on something which didn't come through. That itself is the answer.
मैडम मैं जगन दाहाल दैनिक जागरण से मेरा प्रश्न है कि जैसे स्टेट हो या सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से जो लुभावना जो स्कीम रहता है पब्लिक के लिए, उससे इंडियन इकोनॉमी में कितना असर पड़ रहा है, जो आपका एक्सपीरियंस में बताना चाहता है? जैसे लुभावने जो स्कीम्स वगैरह लेते हैं,
उसका टोटल आंकड़ा अभी तक मैंने नहीं किया, मगर उसका ओरिजिनल ऑब्जेक्टिव से ये स्पष्ट है कि उसके अगर आपके पास उतना पैसा नहीं है ऐसे एक स्कीम लॉन्च करने में, उन स्टेट को डायरेक्टली ही करना है। सो उसका मैंने कुल मिला करके इतना ऐसे कुछ अमाउंट अभी बोल नहीं सकती हूँ, क्योंकि मैंने कुछ एक्सरसाइज अलग से उसके लिए नहीं किया, मगर जिन स्टेट में उसके दबाव के कारण स्ट्रेस होकर के उनके फाइनेंशियल हालात में कुछ नाजुकपन आ गया है, उसके कारण सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से वो मांग रहे हैं, उन विषयों में वो चर्चा निकल कर बाहर रही है।
Hello, ma'am. My name is Pankaj and I represent ENI in East Mojo. Now my question is, over the years I think Sikkim has been the recipient of the lowest share of union taxes. Ma'am, I think then for the year 2022 it was around 3,963.23 crores.
What do you mean by union taxes?
Union tax share
being devolved.
Yeah.
It's devolved as per a formulation given by the Finance Ministerial Commission.
Is there a way the state can actually improve their standing on a national level, because we are at the
I think on a per capita basis, Sikkim gets one of the highest developments. If you relate it to you cannot look at the absolute number, you have to compare it to the population of Sikkim. So there are approximately 250 million plus people in Uttar Pradesh. If you compare it to the population of the state, Sikkim actually gets one of the highest per capita devolutions in the country. And the reason it may be the absolute number is small because the population is small.
And is there a way we can improve that, sir? With the
The devolution is fixed by the Finance Commission. They consider different factors. They consider population, they consider the disadvantages such as hill location. That is why it is disproportionately high also. They consider all these factors. When the next Finance Commission is appointed, Sikkim will make its case. And they balance these different, it's a complex equation. There is population, there is per capita income, there are handicaps, forest cover, some are plus, some are minus. They give weights for the different factors and then arrive at a formula.
Ma'am, we have been hearing, about concessions being given on the tax side and grants and subsidies being given on the other side. Now you are talking about, share being increased. I would say rather than, all of us looking at, what someone else is getting or what is my proportion of share, can we all together, because I represent revenue, can we all together think of how, we can increase the total kitty so that, your share also increases and so does everyone else's.
Madam, is there any plan to...
The lady, please, you already asked.
I'm Nita Niraj from UNI and Sikkim Reporter. I just wanted to know two things. One is that there's so much budget allocated for infrastructure, but nothing is included for the maintenance and for repairs, and it is very difficult when the things go off. And number two is there is lots of, focus on irrigation, but there are certain areas in Sikkim which have gone totally dry, and there's no, river sources have dried up and all others. So what would be the focus on? That money wouldn't work there, that other.
So, let me point out that there are two kinds of infrastructure. One is national trunk infrastructure, which is built by the central government. There is adequate provision for maintenance of national highways and for the highways which are built by the NHIDCI and operated by them. As regards maintenance, so maintenance repairs of NH, adequate budget provision is there. You can look at the budget, it is there. As regards state capital expenditure projects, what the central government provides is a support to carry out capital expenditure. It is the responsibility of state governments to handle maintenance and repairs of an asset which actually belongs to the state. So that's a question which is really to be posed and answered by the state government when it comes to state government assets.
Just to supplement, more and more, see now the government what it is trying to do through various PPP projects on which this capex will be spent. Through the hybrid and through the annuity model, the maintenance itself is also taken care of by the PPP partner. So in a way, when we are providing for the capex, the operational expenses are also being provided for.
Ma'am, good evening. My name is Vijay Guru. I represent Sikkim Express. I do beg your pardon. This question may not fall within the specific parameters given by at the outset, but it does concern the ministry in the sense that on January 13, the Honorable Supreme Court has directed your ministry to bring an amendment in the Income Tax Act 1961, where to add one more clause in the definition of Sikkimis as mentioned in Section 1026 AAA. So how soon can we expect that amendment? And part 2 question would be, would that addition of one more definition in one more clause in the Sikkimis definition would they are concerned that the expansion of the definition Sikkimis definition may dilute the rights and privileges enjoyed by the Sikkimis presently.
First of all, let me clarify the rights and the privileges enjoyed by Sikkimis and as to who Sikkimis are. Immediately after that judgment came out, it was the Union government which approached the Supreme Court to say, please expunge the remarks which were obituary, which were not germane to the question which was being discussed. So I'm sure you are aware that through the immediate response and action of the central government, that has been removed. In other words, the intent of the central government to respect the privileges and the rights of Sikkimis has been kept intact because the central government responded to that situation immediately without any delay. So that proves our intent. So you can be assured, and through you I wish to assure the people of Sikkim that nothing has changed as regards Sikkimis. The court's case has already been dealt with.
मैं ऋषि दूरदर्शन न्यूज़ से मैम आपने बजट में जिस तरीके से इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर और तमाम चीज़ों के बारे में बताया, आपने बताया कि आप रोपवे का भी उद्घाटन करेंगे, आपने गेटवे भी कहा, तो इस पूरे इलाके की कनेक्टिविटी के लिए क्या फ्यूचर में कुछ इस तरीके के बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं जिससे कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट भारत के बाकी के हिस्सों से और ज़्यादा मजबूती से जुड़ पाएगा? Improving connectivity, there are 3 or 4 areas.
One, that Government of India through Ministry of Road and Transport have been increasing the national highway network to improve the network of infrastructure. At the same time, in the northeast, NHIDC also takes a progress. Then connecting villages, improving connectivity. There is scheme for PM Gram Sadak Yojana. There is yet another scheme to improve the connectivity. Third, Sikkim has its own challenges because large or any airport is a difficult one, but heliports to be constructed. This budget announces 50 such heliports to be done. So that is yet another part of connectivity. But when we talk about connectivity, it is not just road which transport people or goods, there is also the digital connectivity. So there is a clear scheme to make sure that each and every village of the country has a digital optic fiber connectivity. And the focus is equally being given for the border villages. It's not just about border villages, but I'm making at that point because these are the most difficult areas to reach there. When we talk about connectivity, it is also to make not just the optic fiber, but making sure that the Gram Panchayats as well as schools, PSCs, they get connectivity. And then there are other services can come in there because once you get connectivity, then tele-health services can get onto the PSCs. The students can get connectivity by that classes can be done online. Plus yet another example which was done in the last year's budget through a television in the local language, make sure that there is a distinct channel for the local language classes from 1 to 12 which are available outside the classroom normal school hours. So when we talk about connectivity, Government of India attempts to work with the state government to promote physical connectivity, digital connectivity as well as service-oriented connectivity. Thank you.
Ma'am, the state president BJP today submitted a memorandum to you expressing concern on the rising unemployment, especially seeking for a one-time financial assistance. And second is to give a direction to all the nationalized banks working in this state to make the loan easy and hassle-free without collateral securities. And third is to extend the NEIIB policy in the state of Sikkim. What is the take on this demand?
The demand is given to me, I can't have an immediate take on it.
Okay.
I respect it, I will look into it. And in fact, the second point that you mentioned, Secretary DFS is here, he has already done a review yesterday before coming here through all the banks as to what has reached Sikkim and what is yet to reach. And he is joining me in this visit only because we are working to get total saturation. Meaning every eligible person should get what is planned through the PM's various schemes. So that work has already been reviewed by him. We shall further take it up tomorrow. So it's going on. The other two, of course, are part of the memorandum, which I will, with due respect, take it and work on.
And ma'am has also instructed me to visit Gangtok again and have a meeting with the state government and review all the schemes, which I will do shortly.
We will take only one last question. Anybody who's not asked it? Yeah, please.
Ma'am, there is a general worry in a section of population here of the increased borrowings of the state government from various sources to meet the capital investment and venture commitments. How does Government of India assure the people that borrowings of the state are being controlled in that?
So, I do not have state-specific figures with me, but I will say that the Government of India keeps under review the borrowing of different state governments and fixes a borrowing ceiling for each state government. One change that has been brought about in there is starting with 21-22 and then 22-23, is that we have noticed that in some cases there is borrowing which is actually to be serviced by state governments but is not within the 3% ceiling. That is now being reckoned within the 3% ceiling. So the present situation is, if the borrowing is to be serviced through the consolidated fund, then regardless of whether it is taken by the state or by an organization of the state, it will be counted within the permissible borrowing ceiling of the state. That has been enforced from 2022-23 and will continue to be the case in future.
I think we'll wrap up the press conference. I think
Ma'am, can I ask one last question, ma'am?
we can take one more press please.
Ma'am, one of the highlights of Sikkim would be we used to have this Nathula border trade. Before COVID we used to have, and it was important for historical reasons also and diplomatic relationship also. It has been closed. So any indication as to when that trade may be resumed in coming years?
It was an issue which was raised in this meeting which happened just before this press conference, and we've taken note of that request. It was said.
अब हम राष्ट्रगान आरंभ करेंगे। आप सबसे अपने स्थान पर खड़े होने का हम सादर अनुरोध करते हैं। सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय के संगीत विभाग का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। इस सभागार में उपस्थित आप सभी का मैं हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ। यह हमारे लिए अत्यंत गौरव का क्षण है कि भारत देश के वित्त मंत्री माननीय श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण जी हमारे मध्य उपस्थित हैं। देश के विकास में आपके द्वारा दी जा रही सेवाएं बहुत सराहनीय हैं। आपकी उपस्थिति हम सब के लिए संबल एवं प्रेरणादायी है। विश्व की सशक्त महिलाओं की जब भी गणना होगी उसमें आपका नाम बड़े सम्मान के साथ लिया जाएगा। मैं सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से इस कार्यक्रम में आपका हार्दिक अभिनंदन करती हूँ। हमारे बीच सिक्किम सरकार के मुख्य सचिव आदरणीय श्री विजय भूषण पाठक जी उपस्थित हैं। सर, आपका इस कार्यक्रम में हार्दिक स्वागत। हमारे मध्य सिक्किम सरकार के अतिरिक्त मुख्य सचिव आदरणीय श्री रविंद्र तेलांग जी उपस्थित हैं। इस कार्यक्रम में सर आपका हार्दिक स्वागत है। सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय के अनेक विद्यार्थी एवं शोधार्थी यहाँ उपस्थित है। आपका इस कार्यक्रम में स्वागत है। सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय से संबद्ध राज्य की 6 सरकारी महाविद्यालय जिनमें नरबहादुर भंडारी कॉलेज, लॉ कॉलेज बुर्तुक, सरकारी फार्मेसी कॉलेज शाचुंग, सिक्किम सरकारी कॉलेज शोचागांग, बुर्तुक, नामदेव इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टिबेटोलॉजी देवराली, सिक्किम सरकारी नर्सिंग कॉलेज शोचागांग, गवर्नमेंट कॉलेज रेनॉक के प्राध्यापक एवं विद्यार्थियों का विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से हार्दिक अभिनंदन करती हूँ। इस कार्यक्रम में उपस्थित मीडिया कर्मी एवं इस कार्यक्रम का लाइव प्रसारण करने वाली लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग तकनीकी टीम का मैं स्वागत करती हूँ।
आप सभी का पुनः हार्दिक स्वागत है। अब मैं सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलपति प्रोफेसर अविनाश खरे जी से आग्रह करती हूँ कि वो आज की मुख्य अतिथि श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी का बुके, खदा एवं मोमेंटो प्रदान कर स्वागत करें। कुलपति महोदय से मंचासीन अन्य अतिथियों का स्वागत करने का सादर अनुरोध करती हूँ। कुलपति महोदय का बहुत बहुत आभार। अब मैं विश्वविद्यालय के कुलसचिव आदरणीय कामेश्वर राव जी को कुलपति महोदय के स्वागत हेतु मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ। कुलसचिव महोदय का बहुत बहुत आभार। कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए मंचासीन अतिथियों को बहुत विनम्रता के साथ दीप प्रज्वलन हेतु आमंत्रित करती हूँ। आप सभी के प्रति हम बहुत आभार प्रकट करते हैं। मैं सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय के माननीय कुलपति महोदय को अपने स्वागत वक्तव्य के लिए मंच पर सादर आमंत्रित करती हूँ।
सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय में आज वित्त मंत्री माननीय निर्मला सीतारमन जी को हार्दिक स्वागत कर रही हूँ।
Respected Srimati Nirmala Sitharaman ji, Minister for Finance and Corporate Affairs, Government of India. Shri Vijay B. Pathak, Chief Secretary, Government of Sikkim. Shri Ravindra Telang, Additional Chief Secretary, Education, Government of Sikkim. Faculty members and my dear students of Sikkim University. It is indeed my proud privilege to welcome the First Lady, Finance Minister of India, who is also the Minister for Corporate Affairs, and under whose able guidance, nation is fast progressing to become the fastest growing economy of the world. She bears the burden of maintaining and furthering the economy of not only the largest, but also the oldest democracy of the world, as has been pointed out on several occasions by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, when he called India as the mother of all democracies. Srimati Sitharaman not only holds the distinction of being the first full-time Finance Minister of India, she also was given the responsibility of being the first women Defence Minister of India. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that it was during her tenure that the permanent commission was given to women officers for the first time in combat forces. To hold two such key positions in the government of India shows her commitment and her strength as not only a capable leader but also as a strong woman. Madam, words cannot express the joy we are feeling to have you amongst us. We are indeed honored beyond words that you have expressed your desire to have a conversation with our students and to answer their queries. Thank you, Madam. Madam, Sikkim University was established by an Act of Parliament in 2007 and has started functioning in 2008. It is comparatively a new university which was started with the intent of providing quality education to the people of this beautiful and scenic state. We all know that Sikkim is an organic state, and Sikkim University is also playing its part in maintaining this status by imparting training as well as promoting organic culture through its various outreach programs with the state government. Madam, one of the notable milestones of university is the introduction of saffron farming in Sikkim, which was hitherto unthinkable in the state. Department of Horticulture, along with the state government, has made this a possibility, and very soon, Madam, we will start promoting it amongst cultivators and farmers, which will help in the economic growth of the farmers as well as of the state government. Since its inception, the university has met all the challenges with positive attitudes. Our greatest challenge was and is our own campus, as right now, Madam, we are scattered in 40 rented buildings. But I am happy to inform you that with the release of sufficient finances from central government, we are able to speed up the work, and at present, 3 land departments have already been shifted to our permanent campus in Yangon. And very soon, Madam, the majority of non-lab departments will be shifted. Madam, as the Vice Chancellor of this fast-growing university, it is my proud privilege to inform you that in the last 5 years, our placement with government as well as private sector has increased manyfold, and our students are also engaged in conducting meaningful research. They, as scholars, are establishing themselves at national and international level, and many have had the opportunity to present their research findings in academic conferences abroad. Our faculty members are regularly inspiring the young generation by not only being the role model in the research themselves, but also by guidance in research. In the end, I would like to add that under the able leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, and the guidance of such exemplary minister such as yourself, Madam, the day when Bharat will lead the world from front and will achieve its status as Vishwa Guru is not very far. we as citizens of Bharat have the opportunity to witness Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, in which we as an educational institution participated with full vigor through various activities. And now as nation has entered Amrit Kal, the period when we strive to achieve the dreams of millions of our compatriots, to gain freedom from mentality of servitude and to take the nation ahead. I look towards the greater role of educational institutions in promoting the sense of national identity as well as responsibility amongst young generation, so that our dream of a developed nation is soon achieved. The period till 2047 is full of hard work mixed with hope, and I assure you, madam, that Sikkim University and its students will play their part in making of Bharat as Vishwaguru by 2047. With this, madam, I rest my words. Once again, I welcome you to Sikkim University. Thank you, madam. Jai Hind, Jai Sikkim.
सबका बहुत बहुत आभार। अब मैं बहुत सम्मान के साथ आज के हमारे मुख्य अतिथि परम आदरणीय श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमण जी को उनके उद्बोधन के लिए सादर आमंत्रित करती हूँ।
Respected Vice Chancellor, Chief Secretary of Sikkim, Mr. Telan, Registrar of Sikkim University, faculty and also dear students. I didn't expect this many of you, and from so many different institutions. So extremely glad to be here to interact with you. In fact, I start with a note of appreciation for the excellent Hindi that Compare is speaking. I'm no good and I may not match up to what she speaks, right? So I hope English is alright, or some local Hindi. English is alright? Yes, ma'am. It's always very invigorating when you meet up with students, particularly young ones. And I feel even more so nowadays because I'm seeing that energy in the students all over the country I go, wherever I get an opportunity I interact. Each time I come out being better off, better influenced, better motivated, with lots more ideas. And that energy which effuses naturally from you is something which all of us will have to share and be part of. It helps us, and I think therefore I'm happy to be here to exchange some thoughts. And I'm not going to talk on the budget because I've heard, I feel you've all heard about the budget, of the budget, the contents in the budget and so on. Unless of course during the interaction you want to ask something, which I'll be happy to answer. But this occasion to meet and speak up to you all is special because India today has the largest number of youth population anywhere compared to any country in the world. And that is the youth which is so raring to move forward as quickly as we can, as speedily as we can. And therefore this address of the Prime Minister on August 15th saying we should move forward. This is Amrit Kal. Move forward for what? Move forward aimlessly? No. Move forward with an aim that by the year 2047, India should be a developed country. We should have more reasons to see why we have to be here and serve the country and enjoy the results by the time we reach 2047, when you will be in your prime productive age. And for that, he said, and for that, did he leave it at that and say, all right, all of us will work towards it and therefore move forward? No. He reiterated what Honorable Vice Chancellor said. He said, what are those 5 things we should keep in our mind? And he elaborated it. The essence of that is, even after 75 years, we see among us not a fault, but certain legacies of the colonial rule, certain hangovers of the colonial rule, certain things which are already into us, we are not even so conscious of it. And as a result, the call given by the Prime Minister is all of us should get that out of our system. We should be so much more ourselves, us Indians. Each of us have contributed in some way or the other. And standing in Sikkim, one big contribution that you did, much before the world started doing all organic, you said my entire state is organic. And I announced it. Did you think that the world is going to speak about it after you said it? Did you think that that's the in thing now? Did you think that's the message for the climate? No. You knew it all and you said, here we go, I can tell you that our state is organic. That is the kind of self-confidence which the Prime Minister is talking about. You have so much to contribute, each one of us. And so why the hangover? And why should that hangover bog us down? Make us feel as though, maybe we can't do this, maybe we can't achieve that, maybe, no maybes, you can. You are capable. Inherently you have the endowments and capacity to do it. All that we need is to have that push and collective will. It is no good if somebody keeps saying something and does his own or her own, and the rest of us are not even linking with that. Sikkim thought it is possible for them to contribute, and therefore all Sikkim came together. And much before anybody could do, the collective will moved Sikkim to say, here we go, we are the organic state. That collective will and a leadership and a visionary leadership are all reflective of removing that colonial baggage from our head. There are leftovers even now, but each one of us will have to make the conscious effort to get that out. Now in between there can always be a lot of things, but this section needs more attention, that section doesn't get attention, this section got it but not enough. All this will keep coming. A part of a societal voice will necessarily speak all this. But we shouldn't get too bogged down by it because they are part of growing. We should help one another. That is why when we say we believe in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, we don't want to neglect anybody. Unknowingly too, we don't want to let anyone be out of the mainstream. So Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas meets your constitutional requirement that you don't differentiate between this person and that person. You have to deal with everybody equally. So when voices come saying, no, but we should get the first right, or they should not be ignored, or they have been ignored, we should take that seriously and try to bring them on for board. We can't ignore anybody. But if there are voices saying you're deliberately ignoring somebody, no, please. We should please sit with them and convince them nobody gets excluded. And we should make effort to say nobody should get excluded. Sheer words will not help. And that is why if you see from 2014, in a street if there are people here, not there, but next to that, deserving of some kind of a basic amenity. The road reaches all of us. But this house doesn't have electricity, this house doesn't have a gas cylinder, that house doesn't have a bank account at all. We didn't look at the creed, language, skin color, religion, none of that. Everyone got what basically they should get. And there we didn't label this house is so and so and therefore I'm giving it to you. That house is so and so and therefore I'm giving it to you. We didn't label anybody. They are all Indians. You need to get it, you get it. I'm not worried about your language or skin color or religion or anything. Is that not what truly the Constitution wants? Is that what not the Constitution's directive principle tells us? As opposed to the system, it says, oh no, this person has a certain complexion, so first priority be given there. There could be a person without that complexion who will be there, who is also deserving. He is somewhere at the bottom of the list. Here is this person getting it first. Is that divisive? Is that not going against the constitutional beliefs? So what you find between 2014 and today is we are agnostic about what that person is, but if he's got eligibility, it should reach. And that is where this one simple slogan of Sabka Vikas, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas. So everybody should get the confidence that I will also get what is due to me. I won't be left behind because unfortunately I am not that complexion, that colored, that languaged person. So these artificial divisive lines are not there. So Sabka Vishwas is acquired by, without difference, doing everything that you need to do for everyone. But can it be just the government who does it? No. It has to be with all our efforts. And that is why the last bit is Sabka Prayas. We all will have to work during this Amritka. So that by 2047, India can be that India which you all can be proud of, which all of us surviving then can be proud of. So that is where when youth ask me, saying, what is there in this for us? It's all yours. It's all yours for taking. But if you don't take it, and for some odd reason somebody has put into your head saying it should be given in a platter to you, it should be given in a platter to everyone. Or everybody should come and take it for themselves. It's our country. We have equally the right to that. But yet, that right also has a bit of obligation, duty. That was lost for some time in this country. It was right for people to think, right meaning as wrong, as not wrong, right and wrong. In that sense, I'm saying it was right. Not in the sense of haq. So it was right to think we need good roads. It was right to think, why is this country growing so slow? Why can't we grow fast? It was right to think, should we have basic electricity in the streets of our roads so that all of us feel safe? It's all right. All A-double-L, right. It's all right. But in that, if we are the first fellows to protest on the road and break the light, because we are unhappy with something to do with the government. If you are the first fellows to see, in my house I want a special cable coming in, so beautifully laid road of yesterday, I will be the first fellow to dig it up, have that connection given, and put some mud on it and finish. Nobody knows in the street because I did it in the night. हक है, मगर आपकी ड्यूटी क्या है? So there is a role for all of us in this growing India, and in that, positivity is what is going to be contagious. Positivity is what is going to make all my friends think, she's right, she's talking sense. and she's not toxic about anybody. So I think there is a common interest. All of us will, take care. We like to work together. But the moment you start doing this digging of the road in the night, but next morning criticizing me, kya hai hamare road jaise kharab hai, you know that the person's intent is different. We don't want to be in that class of Indians. We need the special cable come to my street as much as the special cable be available for everybody in the street. So all of us should talk to the authorities and get that cable rather than me selfishly digging up that well-laid road for myself. That one example is sufficient to say what is sabka prayas. We need to have a collective sense of ownership. This road is mine, this country is mine, this state is mine. It hurts me to see that India has done phenomenally well in getting that Vande Bharat trains. The kind of comments we are getting are it can be faster because let us say from Kolkata to Patna or Bengaluru to Mysore, the train goes in a particular, today's train goes in a particular time. Vande Bharat cuts that time a bit, but it can cut further is what many people say. Vande Bharat, we expected it to cut by half. Each one has its own. It is cutting it down. It can cut more, it's a different story. Our tracks also will have to be simultaneously made capable of taking that speed. But what nobody has a difference of opinion is what that Vande Bharat train is like, that is like once you're inside it. All external sounds are off. You're sitting in a beautifully quiet train which doesn't have too much jerk. The travel experience is comparable to the best which is available anywhere else in the world. India has done it for itself. It's all built for itself. It's our own. So that experience is something which everybody wants to see. Oh yes. I've heard some people tell me that there are poorer people. Vande Bharat tickets is slightly more expensive than the usual ones. Poor middle class business people are not hesitating to pay that little bit more and travel by the train because one, it cuts some time, travel time, and two, they think, wow, this is possible in India. Why not give that extra paisa? But I'll also be part of that experience of this growing India. So this growing India doesn't exclude the middle class or poor. They all want the experience. That is why Udaan. Udaan is for common people. आम भारतीय नागरिक उड़ाने के लिए उनके लिए एक एयरलाइंस whatever है हिंदी whatever आम नागरिक meaning a common citizen should have that experience to fly. And people mock saying, will a common citizen who's a Hawaii chappal pehne wala, will he go? Today Udaan is having such a growth rate. People are wanting to fly. They don't mind putting that extra money in. Great to feel a part of this experience and feel proud of this experience. But I would like to see those few people who, instead of going inside the train and enjoying that experience, standing by the wayside and throwing stones at it, breaking the window. For who are you doing this? Is it not our country which is building it? Is it not our country which is giving that experience for us? We kept saying all the while, can we ever build a good train? Dekho hamara train ka halat. That cynicism. Today, you cannot have the cynicism because you see in each one of these areas some development or the other. Maybe more is required. So I go back to saying, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas, Sabka Prayas. We should not be among those who are throwing stones at, Vande Bharat. We should get into the train and say, it's fantastic, but I have a different idea to make it even better. Wo karo. I'd honestly like to go meet up with these people and say, Tell me, where exactly is your difficulty? Why do you want those stones at it? It's a collective property, it's ours. So, the narrative I want to put before you the young. The other day, attending the G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting, meaning top 20 countries of the world. Their finance ministers and central bank governors are all in India attending the G20. They've gone back only day before yesterday. We had requested them to come for a trip to Indian Institute of Sciences, which is in Bengaluru, one of our premium institutions. The great science minds, STEM minds, I would say, science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Minds have all either worked there as professors, teachers, research scholars, or have been students. So we took them there, they saw it all. And Bengaluru being a city of startups, we invited some startups to come and display and also say what their innovative idea has done. They were all there. All the ministers attended, meaning some of them couldn't, but many others who came, their deputies came, central bank governors came. After that, we all reassembled to continue with the G20 meetings. Several of them in the meeting openly, where we are discussing G20 agenda, said it was an eye-opener for them, that India can do this. The kind of innovation our young are doing, which have day-to-day relevance. They are not fancy things. They are fancy, but that fancy is being adapted for meeting our day-to-day requirements. Things like medical, some technology has been adapted to have an injection given. Example, COVID time injection. Now doesn't need, according to the startup, now doesn't need a needle. They have a kind of a metallic steel, I think, or some metal. Some kind of an instrument which has a blunt, flat head, which if kept on the skin and a certain kind of a wave is made to hit at it, no pain, but hits at it, the wave carries that medicine through your, let's say, sweat holes and goes into your system without a pinprick and cause far less. No pinprick. I know many people, oh God, no more of that. It's a beautiful application of high technology for common medical purposes. There were many more like that. Drones kept there, all made by our young, and some of them who are not even more than 22, 23 years. Which we adopt now, not just for aerial survey, but today the policy has also enabled it. They can deliver a certain payload of heavy books or something, medicines, in far-flung areas, essential goods for far-flung areas. Agricultural field now getting sprayed with the organic liquid farming materials on through the drone. These are all now being done in India. And the payment systems, digital currency. There was a stall which I went and actually did it for myself to see how digital payment happens. They were all done by Indians. From the conceptualizing of the idea to the final making of the product. The payment system, we showed them what Indians have done in terms of creating digital public platforms. They are all in Government of India own platforms, but private innovators can join on it. We've scaled it up. Today, 40% of all digital payments which are happening in the world is happening in India. For a collective achievement which is phenomenal, which the G20 ministers found awesome. I'm not using the word awesome nowadays, all of us say, oh, that's awesome, yeah. Awesome. Yesterday I had an awesome meal, it had momos in it, awesome. It's become very commonplace. But in this context, when the ministers who came from abroad, they said, awesome, honest. The scaling up. All within a matter of 6 months, we could deal with vaccination of all our citizens at least once. And this was available in your phone. I repeat this narration which once External Affairs Minister said in a public meeting. He also has put it in that book, I think, Modi at 20. During the COVID, when he was traveling, he was just traveling, and at the border, international border, he was stopped and said, do you have certificate to say that you were vaccinated? Otherwise, we will not allow you to enter. He said yes, took out his phone and showed it on his phone. His son was traveling with him, who's, I think, a US citizen. He took out his purse, took a paper, unfolded it, and said, a developed country giving certification through piece of paper, and India shows it on the phone saying, it's not just one word. It says, Nirmala Sitharaman on this date took which vaccine, because they also asked, some vaccines are not certified, some country has a vaccine which it used compulsorily, but till today they are in lockdown. I'm not naming any country. But here, which vaccine, the name, scientific name, and the brand name, in which hospital did I take it? Suppose I forget, next time I have to go back to have the second dose. It tells you there itself which dose did you take, and therefore the nurse or the doctor will know that they can't give me a different one for the second dose. All in a phone. India's achievement. The globe is looking at it saying, you managed to do this during COVID? You managed to have a vaccine of your own made for COVID, during COVID? So these are not small achievements. You're all part of it. We all should own it and feel proud about it. We are capable. We are capable. So why not have Sabka Prayas? Build this country. It's yours as much as it is mine. No more cynicism. So, let it not be a monologue. Bounce off your questions. Thank you.
आपको सुनना मैडम बहुत सुखद रहा। आपके सार्वभौमिक उद्बोधन के लिए मैं आपके प्रति अपनी कृतज्ञता ज्ञापित करती हूँ। अब हम कार्यक्रम के दूसरे चरण में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, जहां माननीय वित्त मंत्री का विद्यार्थियों के साथ चर्चा परिचर्चा होनी है। इस सत्र के संचालन के लिए मैं चीनी विभाग की सहायक प्राध्यापिका डॉक्टर ज्योति रॉय को सादर मंच पर आमंत्रित करती हूँ।
So Hindi is getting even better, no?
Thank you, Dr. Bhutia. Namaskar and a very warm good evening to our Honorable Union Minister of Finance, Madam Shrimati Nirmala Sitharaman, our eminent dignitaries on the dais and the august gathering here. At the very outset of this second session, on behalf of Sikkim University, we would once again like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Madam for having so graciously offered her valuable time and her time presence to interact with our students. Honorable Madam, we are very grateful to you for this. Now, with your kind permission, Honorable Madam, we may proceed with the interactive session. In the audience here, we have 300 students from various departments and programs of Sikkim University and its affiliated colleges. The format of the proceedings of this session shall be as follows. This shall be a question-answer session where student participants shall put forth their questions to Honorable Madam for her kind observations, comments, Students may kindly raise their hands, briefly introduce themselves along with their institutional affiliation, and then place the question before the House. We also request the questions to be kindly brief and non-repetitive. And earnest request also for students to kindly lend a patient hearing to Honourable Madam when she responds to each of the questions before you pose the next question. And may I kindly request that the decorum of the House may strictly be maintained. Now, with the kind permission of Honourable Madam, here's a call for the first question, please. Yes, please.
Adab, ma'am. A very good evening to Honourable Ma'am and all the dignitaries present here. My name is Hera Iqbal. I am a PhD student of Department of Management of Sikkim University. My question to you, Honourable Ma'am, is how will the budget help to boost industrialization in the Northeast and also increase employment opportunity in the region? Thank you.
See, this budget and also at least 2 or 3, 4, it has provided specific funds for connectivity improvement in Northeast. And you notice that in spite of all the long delays, projects are getting completed, whether it is having a railway station, railway line coming to each one of the states which didn't even have a line coming. Similarly, every state to have airports and some having such cargo terminals with which your products from the Northeast can all get aggregated and exported. And similarly, night landing facilities being brought into airports. Further, also looking at providing livelihood-based, the PM Divine scheme that we're talking about for the development of Northeast, the specific particular scheme which was brought in last budget, was with an intention of improving livelihoods. So where you can invest to have something developed as an industry or some activity, like for instance, I'm only taking a random example, not to promote one state versus the other. I'm taking one random example which comes in my mind. Tripura had a particular tree from which the bark of the tree comes out to be put on gold. It's a traditional, aromatic smoke creating thing. That cultivation had commenced in Tripura. Today, great impetus is being given for them to expand on it. It has a particular name, and that name is it's a natural product where the tree grows and a particular worm which is put into the tree's bark creates a certain kind of a biochemistry with which, after the worm nicely develops into the trunk, it doesn't hurt the plant, but the trunk becomes usable as a flavoring ingredient, aromatic ingredient. It has its particular name, I'm not able to get it now. So,
and opportunity.
Okay, so if that was done for Mizoram, for instance, PM Divine again, wanted to capitalize on the bamboo wealth that they have. So they made a bamboo corridor so that farmers can bring their bamboo onto this corridor, and it was possible to collect it and take it to a long distance terminal or a mill which is there to work on the, like that. So, whether for livelihood generation, which means some investment for some industrial or productive activity, or whether you're looking at particular unique special activity which could bring wealth of that state out, railroad connectivity, and now because the inland waterways has improved, you saw that India built tourist cruise reaching Dibrugarh probably tomorrow, day after. 51 days I think it took from Benares to come downstream on the Ganges, get it into Bangladesh, then move upstream Brahmaputra. It has reached that far. So these are all ways in which Northeast economy is being revived. So just not one question of are you giving industrial incentive or not, but look at the various ways in which the state is allowed to bloom on its own. There are more, I can say, but and similarly, the projects of Northeast states till now had very few and far between external aid, meaning we take loans from ADB. Government of India takes it but passes it to the states. So ADB assisted program, World Bank assisted program, AIIB assisted program. All these are coming in much bigger numbers, much bigger, big ticket programs are coming to the Northeast now.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Sarah. May we go for the next question, please? Yes, please.
Good evening, Honorable Ma'am.
Please sit down. Sit and talk.
Good evening, Honorable Ma'am. My name is Diksha Rai and I am pursuing Bachelor's in Pharmacy from Government Pharmacy College, Sajong, East Sikkim. And I am extremely overjoyed to get this opportunity, and I would like to ask you a question that I feel is a concern for all of us, and that is, nowadays, ma'am, people are not really interested in the agricultural activities, and as you can see that the North, like all of the youth, mostly, they are not at all interested in farming. So ma'am, how can we make the agriculture sector more attractive to the youth? Thank you, ma'am.
A very interesting question. I really appreciate you for asking. Because agriculture should no longer be seen as that subsistence agriculture. You had a small land, you just cultivated something, you couldn't get better price for it. It's a burden. You didn't have aid, meaning you didn't have mechanical aids to help you remove the physical rigor which it requires, and you didn't have enough irrigation. The cost of all the inputs are too high, you could never imagine. Better seeds were not available. Basic subsistence money was not available. But today, I'm happy to say, over the last 7-8 years, in every one of these aspects, lot of effort has gone and gone in to make it much more attractive. In fact, agriculture together with some activities. I'll take the example of a leading agricultural equipment manufacturer. During COVID, they saw that agricultural activity were still going on, but enough number of labor were not available because people were scared to come in to work together. So at that time, this company had a thought that if farmers are given agricultural tools and equipments on hire, you take it as rent for a day, use it and give it back. You don't have to invest in buying that, which will remain idle for 6 months of the year. Only when you harvest you need it, only when you till it you need it. Now this company was thoughtful enough to go into those villages and call some agriculture family children and said, you may be doing whatever you want, but I'm giving you a business proposition. In your village, will you be my agent? I'll give all the tools. You will be the person who will receive the request from the farmers, who says, look, I want an equipment to help me in weeding out all those unwanted plants. Or my harvest is ready, I want to cut it. Equipment appropriate can be supplied on a day's rent and then you can do it. Now this man thought he belongs to an agricultural family but doesn't want to be in agriculture. But he thought this is a very quick fix for him to earn something. Being at home, he doesn't have to rush to the city. So he started this along with this company. They said, all right, we'll keep giving you those equipments. And he knew everybody in the village because he belongs there. That, Chacha, aapko ye chahiye for cutting? Nahin, Jija, aapko ye chahiye for. He started doing that. And today, he wants to understand more of his father's land activity, agricultural activity, so that he can better bring technology there. He got interested in agriculture. There are ever so many ways which are now coming out or blooming, wherein the young people are seeing prospects in agriculture. Now, another example which I briefly mentioned. There is a little group, small group of young men and women who all went into drone manufacturing because India has given the certificate. They live in a rural area. They went around saying, can we try spraying some fertilizer on your crops to some farmers? Because they were local boys. The farmers felt confident. He's not a stranger coming from outside and saying, magic kar dega aapko, none of that. So they had trust in these boys. They said, we've manufactured this, drone, we want to see it work. They tried, it worked, and the farmer thought, if it is so effortless now to spray. Otherwise he was carrying that huge big bag, like cylinder on his bag with a pipe with the, pressure, and go spraying his entire field in this hot sun. Now he's got this chap who comes, remotely operates, it's going about spraying it, it's all over. And it can be his own son. So, and the repairing of these drones, if there's a problem, is also happening in villages now. The same village farmer himself is willing to learn about how to repair the drone. So interest in agriculture is, and also organic, your masters, but there are others who are saying, organic kya cheez hai, right? So their children are getting into it by using all the, different apps which tell them about organic, how to go about it. So the children are now advising their parents to be better agriculturists. So there are ways in which young are coming back. But I'm very happy you're conscious of it.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan, for posing that question. May I now invite the next question, please? Yes, please.
Good evening, all. Good evening, ma'am. It's a very honor to have you here. It's a warm welcome to the dignitaries, the Honorable Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji, our all the classmates who are present over here, all the mates here. I'm taking the cue from your speech right now, the G20. India being the presidency for this year, G20 meetings, how well are we prepared for the global economic crisis to strengthen India's role in the economic world order? And also, what are the government initiatives for the sustainable development now? Thank you.
How well we are prepared is explained by the fact that that year, which is 2021, I think, that year when global fertilizer prices went up, hit the roof. And we import fertilizers. Most of what we consume is imported. And when the prices went up so much, we still had to import. We couldn't tell the farmers, sorry, it has become 10 times more expensive, I can't buy it. We still bought it. Did we have a preparedness in the sense of that year's budget when it was tabled in the parliament? Did it anticipate a fertilizer price shoot up like that? No. But we had to make provision so that the farmers are not going to be starved of fertilizer that which their land needs. So being prepared is also a question of how much can you predict what is going to happen, and even if you can't predict, will you be able to manage the situation? So in the last 3 years, you must have seen how Prime Minister Modi has been meeting up with people, meeting up with different kind of stakeholders, understanding what's happening everywhere in the world, and slowly also making our systems ready for it. So I can only say we are ready as much as we are ready, but something which comes up for which we didn't have a clue, we'll still have to manage the situation. we are quite on the toes on it. And then your second question was on?
The global economic crisis that we are facing now. So what are the ways that India is going to take head on G20 meetings and make it a point that India strengthens its economic role in the world economic order?
So the point is the fact that we have kept India's interest right up front. We didn't come under any pressure. We made sure that we need certain, let's say, affordable fuel to come to India. So we took decisions which put India's interest on the top. Similarly, you saw the Prime Minister immediately launching into action to get our students who were caught up in Ukraine, particularly in the war-torn parts. Because we could communicate with them and our Prime Minister's words carried the weight, they ceased fire for a short while without making a big announcement of it, but we were readily there to get our students to some safe point from where we airlifted them. That is one thing. So, in Bali, when Indonesia's presidency on G20 last year was happening, Prime Minister took this line, saying it's not the era for war. Why do we want this war? It's not an era. We should go back to having dialogue and diplomacy to bring this whole thing down to peace and calm and so on. That was adopted as part of the language of the communique which came from G20, Indonesia's presidency. That's the weight which India's Prime Minister's words carry. And we are looked up as one of those countries whose economy is buoyant, whose citizens are skilled, which is a knowledge-based economy. Knowledge-based economy has so much ramifications. Your contribution is there in so many areas in which other countries are not even competing yet. So these are the ways in which your global leadership position is getting strengthened.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Requesting students to please introduce yourselves. Dear student, we don't have your name with us. If you can identify yourself.
Sorry to confusion. Ma'am, this is Archie Naidu from Andhra Pradesh, doing Masters in Peace and Country Studies, Sikkim University, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Naidu, and maybe invite any other question. Next question, please. Okay, the gentleman over there.
Kajidile, Hamimo, and Namaste to Honorable Ma'am, and all dignitaries and student present here. My name is Daniel Sepa from Namga Institute of Geology, and my question to Honorable Ma'am is, broadband connectivity in Sikkim is not up to the mark when it comes to digital literacy, online banking, and e-commerce. So what steps can the government take to improve connectivity, ma'am? Thank you.
Just briefly, the optical fiber cables are now being laid. And also, it is being laid in such a way that in a village, the school, the post office, the bank, the hospital, all of them will be connected, the panchayat and everything else. So the focus being that those who use it will first have the school, if it gets an optical fiber connection, it is going to have a better internet connection. So work is going on that. The BSNL particularly, and talking in Sikkim that is, on the Border Vibrant Village program, which is the border villages, we are trying to do work on all aspects of connectivity in those border villages. One of the connectivity related thing is the teleconnectivity. So if it is not good now, you say, we'll certainly have to, because the programs have started on vibrant villages, we will be improving it as we go on now.
Thank you, Honorable Ma'am. Any further questions from yes, please.
Good evening and Jai Johar, ma'am. I am Christopher Tilti, pursuing my PhD from the Department of Economics, Sikkim University. Ma'am, if we look at the trend lines, expenditure on education has nearly doubled in the last 9 years, and the union budget has set aside 1.12 lakh crore rupees for the education sector. My question to you, ma'am, is what are the special provisions in the union budget for driving the implementation of the national education policy? Thank you.
Tirki, I'm curious, are you from Orissa or are you from Jharkhand?
No, ma'am, I am from Assam.
You're from Assam.
Yes,
You're right, the national education policy has had a great reception. People have readily accepted it, and many universities are now moving to be totally compliant with the NEP. The budget this year for education has also had an increase. Last year we crossed the 1 lakh crore. This year we've increased it further from there. There are a lot of awareness building activities which the HRD ministry conducts to make teachers, administrators and also students aware of what this NEP is all about. So through that, the ministry is given enough flexibility for itself to spread the NEP faster, speedily, so that the benefits of NEP reach the current set of students who are in the university.
Madam, with your kind permission, shall we move on with a few more questions? Right. Yes, please.
नमस्ते मैडम, म देवराज छेत्री तपाईलाई स्वागत गर्दछु सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालयमा। Madam, I am from the Department of Political Science, Sikkim University, and presently I am the General Secretary of Sikkim University Student Association. Madam, actually I don't have a question to you. I congratulate you for presenting an spectacular budget this time. Madam, I just want to request you something. Since you have been a student of a university which has one of the best campuses in India, I know, madam, that you understand the value of an integrated and permanent campus. So, madam, I just want to request you to kindly give some special attention to our university, because we are, since our establishment, madam, it's been 14 years we don't have a permanent campus and we still do our classes in temporary buildings. You can understand that we are in a hilly region, madam. We are in a hilly region, so we have to face so many hurdles, madam. So I hope that you will understand and you will look into it, madam. Thank you so much.
Chiefly, right? I understand why you are elected to the student union. Gosh, you're a real popular guy and you raise such institutes which are hit with the students. No? But you're raising a very valid point. I fully agree. Universities need to have their campus at the earliest. Students should not be going from pillar to post to attend the class, the labs, whatever lectures and so on. We will definitely, I'll convey this message to the HRD ministry. Well, you've elected a right guy, man. Very good.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chetri. Yes, any more questions? Any female students with questions? Yes, please.
A very good evening to one and all present. I'm Softy Sebastian, a PhD scholar from the Department of Computer Applications, Sikkim University. Honorable Ma'am, over the years, we have witnessed that our tribal communities have been slowly losing their cultural heritage to the effects of urbanization and change in lifestyles. Although development is necessary, it is important to ensure that our cultural heritage is not given away to all of these urbanization and change in lifestyles. So, respected ma'am, my question to you is, what role does the Finance Ministry envisage to play in the conservation of tribal heritage, both tangible and intangible? Thank you, ma'am.
If you listen to the budget this year, you will notice that for very primitive tribes who are spread very thinly across very many states. We have allotted more than 14,000 crores this year budget alone. And they are very small in number. Very small in number, but among the tribes, least in terms of developments reaching them. And what do I mean by developments reaching them? Where they live, do they have roads? Do they have wellness centers? Do they have facilities? Do their children get adequate education-related scholarships? Do the women have options to do some kind of work within the village? And are they nutritionally fit? And so on. So, for this very primitive group of tribes, we have allotted this particular thing with an intention that every scheme of the central government will be completely saturated. There is, if it's a beneficiary based program, every beneficiary, eligible beneficiary should get it. If it is collective, getting roads to the village, getting connection for internet, as was mentioned, these kind of common facilities as well, and individual beneficiary based programs as well should reach them. So if that is being done for primitive, very primitive groups, for tribal education, which is the Eklavya model schools, there are now teachers being recruited. 35,000 teachers are being recruited this year. The exact number is in the budget. And also for teaching in those schools. And also for other support staff. Recruitments are being funded by the central government. The budget has announced it. That's education related. Other than that, in order to preserve the culture of the tribal communities, in every district which is tribal dominated, there is a huge big museum being set up for how these tribes live, what are their cultural identities, what is their contribution towards their own tribal affairs, who are the great freedom fighting leaders who emerged from these communities, memorials for them, and so on. So tribal cultural museum is being built by the center in states where these communities have been undocumented. So all of them will have to be documented, all of them will have to be placed. So these are few of the things which I want to put before you, but there are many more which I don't want to take time to say.
Thank you, ma'am. In view the time constraint, Honorable Madam has to leave for another very important appointment. We can only take one last question. Yes, gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone. Respected ma'am. Ma'am, my name is Lahang Limbu, currently pursuing BA LLB from Sikkim Government Law College. And my question to our Honorable Ma'am is that, thank you ma'am, the world is now data driven with extra emphasis on artificial intelligence. So how had budget addressed that, ma'am? Thank you.
Since the last budget, we are making provision for data centers, which can be set up anywhere through private partnership. In fact, we are calling private entrepreneurs to set up data centers. The government will facilitate them with what required, policy support and all that. Big investments are coming through for setting up of data centers. UP, in fact, has had several offers and they're setting up also. So data centers, in fact, I would invite Sikkim's youth now to think in terms of having data centers established in every district to start with in Sikkim. Please get the information, they are all available in public domain. Go to the ministry site, the Metis Ministry's data center related data statement in the public domain. Data centers, that is from last year I'm saying what. This year's budget has announced that artificial intelligence will have to now be made in India, make India an AI hub, make AI in India for the world. So that's the approach we have taken, and we are setting up 3 centers of excellence in premier institutions, they're yet to be chosen, institutions, so that research in AI happens in India and India becomes the leader in using AI. And therefore, centers of excellence for AI will do research, also come up with products based on AI, which can be useful for both government and for private businesses.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ma'am, for having spared your very valuable time and for having sharing your insights. This brings us to the end of this interactive session. Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you very much, and I now hand over the charge of the ceremony to Dr. Bhutia.
धन्यवाद डॉक्टर धृति। अब हम कार्यक्रम के अंतिम पड़ाव पर हैं। धन्यवाद ज्ञापन के लिए मैं पुनः आपके समक्ष प्रस्तुत हूँ। इस क्रम में सबसे पहले मैं आज के हमारे मुख्य अतिथि माननीय श्रीमती निर्मला सीतारमन जी का आभार प्रकट करती हूँ, जिन्होंने अपना बहुमूल्य समय हमें उपलब्ध कराया। आपके प्रेरणादायी उद्बोधन एवं विद्यार्थियों से आपके संवाद निश्चित तौर पर बहुत लाभान्वित करने वाला है। मैं विश्वविद्यालय परिवार की ओर से आपके प्रति आभार प्रकट करती हूँ। भविष्य में पुनः आपका सानिध्य मिलेगा ऐसी अपेक्षा करती हूँ। आपके सभी संकल्प पूर्ण हो, इसी शुभकामना के साथ आपका पुनः आभार। सिक्किम सरकार के मुख्य सचिव आदरणीय श्री विजय भूषण पाठक जी, कार्यक्रम में आपकी गरिमामय उपस्थिति रही, आपका बहुत आभार। सिक्किम सरकार के अतिरिक्त मुख्य सचिव आदरणीय श्री विवान रविंद्र तेलांग जी, कार्यक्रम में आपकी उपस्थिति देकर आपने हमारा मनोबल बढ़ाया, आपका बहुत आभार। कार्यक्रम में सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय से संबद्ध महाविद्यालयों के संकाय सदस्य, मीडिया कर्मी एवं लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग तकनीकी टीम का मैं आभार प्रकट करती हूँ। कार्यक्रम में सिक्किम विश्वविद्यालय एवं उससे संबद्ध महाविद्यालयों की लगभग 300 विद्यार्थी सम्मिलित हैं, जिन्होंने बड़े उत्साह के साथ आज के इस कार्यक्रम में सहभागिता की। समय के अभाव में सभी को प्रश्न पूछने का अवसर नहीं मिला, लेकिन आपके सजग एवं ऊर्ध्वस्वित व्यक्तित्व के हम कायल हुए। आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आपकी ज्ञान पिपासा निरंतर जलती रहे। उन्नत देश एवं समाज के निर्माण में आपका सार्थक हस्तक्षेप हो, ऐसी आपसे अपेक्षा करते हैं। मैं धन्यवाद करने के क्रम में चिंतन भवन से जुड़े उन समस्त जनों का धन्यवाद करती हूँ, जिन्होंने इस कार्यक्रम की सफलता में अपनी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई। आप सबका पुनः बहुत बहुत आभार। औपचारिक रूप से अब मैं कार्यक्रम के संपन्न होने की घोषणा करती हूँ।